Welcome to Madame Raven's. This way to the library. She's been expecting you.
The Last Stop by NerdxCorexCreeps. I never thought my life would go in this direction. All I wanted was to sit in my self-pity and drink my sorrows away. Now I find myself here on the other side of the counter, pouring out the drinks and listening to the sad stories of my new patrons. I own a bar in the middle of nowhere. That may sound like a career path I decided to pursue on my own, but it isn't. What began as a chance encounter turned into my own personal prison. It all started after I decided to go cruising in the middle of the night. It had been a rough day, to say the least. My entire world had just shattered. Being fired from my job, my partner walking out on me, and the entire town thinking I was guilty of a crime I was absolutely innocent of. I just kept driving and driving, wishing I could escape everything, when I happened upon an out-of-the-place bar. I figured since I was quite away from town, I could safely drop in without the judgment and hate-filled looks from the other patrons. Nobody would know who I was, and that sounded perfect to me. I walked in and realized that the bar is completely empty. I might have thought that it was either closed or abandoned, but not only were the lights on, but there was music playing on the jukebox. And on the counter was an ashtray with a recently extinguished cigarette. I sit on a bar stool and wait for a bit. Looking back and forth and all around, I call out, "Anybody working here?" But there's no response. So I turn forward and notice a service bell. I tap it a couple of times, but still nothing. "That's weird," I say out loud. Suddenly I have an idea. No one was around, so no one would know. I walked around to behind the counter and helped myself to a glass. It was so refreshing. Suddenly, in walks a woman, looking like absolute hell. Her head down as though she's ashamed of something, and she shakes as she taps a finger on the bell. I look behind me, waiting to see if anyone was ever going to come out from the back, but still nothing. "Well," she says, annoyance on top of her sorrow. Yeah, sorry," I started. I was going to say, I don't actually work here, but what came out of my mouth was certainly not that. "What'll it be?" is what I actually say. "A dark and stormy, please," she answers. I didn't even know what that was or how to make it, so my instinctive answer was going to be, "A what?" Instead, what I said was, "Coming right up," as I turn around and begin making the drink as though I had done it so many hundreds of times before. It was as though my body took over and knew things that my brain didn't. What the hell is happening? I thought out loud, cringing as I realized the woman likely heard me. "Yeah, today has sure been death for me," she responded, gulping the drink down instantly. Connor, that son of a bitch, finally went through with it. I had no idea who Connor was, but I still responded with, "Oh? Yep. After years and years of big talk and threats, the bastard finally went and did it." Then she proceeds to move her long hair, which had been covering her face, to reveal horror. Her face looked like it had been smashed in with a baseball bat. Blood poured from her eyes, one of which looked like it was ready to fall out of her head. "Christ," I said out loud. "Well, with any luck," she responds, tapping her glass. I pour her some more of her drink and ask, What happened to you?" "Well, I walked in on him with that bitch, and I guess he panicked. Next thing I know, I'm out on the ground, dazed as hell, and he's literally dragging me by my feet. Blood is gushing out of me, and I try to call for help, but nothing comes out. I try keeping my composure as she tells her story, wondering how the hell she's even alive with her injuries. She gulps down the second glass and continues, I can't see a damn thing, but I can hear them arguing. She's calling him an idiot, and he's telling her to shut up or she's next, in typical Connor fashion. Suddenly he tosses me in a body of water, and I feel myself sinking. I couldn't believe the story I'd just heard. I wanted to say, how the hell did you survive that? But I don't. What I say is, I'm sorry to hear that, Heather. She never told me her name, so I couldn't understand why I called her Heather. Thanks. And thanks for listening. And, she holds up her empty glass. I take that as a clue to refill her yet again, so I do. I gotta tell you, she continues, leaning close to me, being dead and all, I'm happy I at least got in one last good drink before I go cross over. I stand frozen, taking in what I just heard her say. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run away, but I don't. I just stand there and say, that's what I'm here for, instinctively giving her a compassionate smile. So, she says, what's it gonna be? I don't even know what she's talking about, but I find myself staring into her eyes, concentrating on something. Suddenly I see everything, every experience from her life, every triumph, every failure. I see all the good she did in the world, as well as all the bad. Overall, she lived a good, albeit hard life. I turn around and open one of the glass cabinets, full of hundreds of pre-filled shot glasses with lids. Half of them contain a black liquid, and the others a white one. I grab one of the white ones and hand it over to her. She begins to tear up, or maybe starts bleeding more, and says, thank you. She grabs my hands in appreciation, then stands up. I hope to see you again, she says as she turns around and walks out of the door. As she exits, a bright light illuminates outside. I never see her again. From that point on, I was running the bar. Heather was the first of many patrons that, to this day, come to me. The one thing that they all do have in common is that they are no longer among the living. I'm their last stop before venturing into the afterlife. I offer them a drink, and they tell me how they died, and I look into their soul. I am their judgment. I send them along their way to whatever awaits them. After a while, I've managed to perfectly control my speech and actions, as now I know what should and shouldn't be said and done. It's not so bad. In fact, it's significantly better than the way my life was going. I have my own room and bed, internet connection, and an endless supply of food and drink that seems to constantly replenish itself. Life, or whatever this is for me, is good. So quote this raven. Thank you to NerdCorexCreeps for sharing this on my subreddit. I really liked this story, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so kindly for stopping by my chateau, my darlings. It does mean so much to me. Please, if you have not subscribed, as many of you have not, please do so. Give me a like so I know what you would like to hear. And comment. I always love to read your comments. And special thanks to my Patreon and membership supporters. Ciao, darlings.